I am Sophia Casey, international award-winning speaker, corporate trainer, dynamic executive coach, and creator of all things Ease and Flow, including the Ease and Flow Journal, a 31-day journal to help you get clear, connected, and courageous about your life. Yes, hunty. Thanks for subscribing to Sophia Casey TV on YouTube.
Do you ever have murky, muddy moments of setback in your life? Have you ever felt stuck trying to navigate the muddy days? Today, we'll meet with professional certified coach Sophia Casey. With her extensive knowledge, commitment to serving and supporting others, and her larger-than-life personality, she will show us how to get clear, connected, and courageous about life as we discuss her 31-day journal, Ease and Flow. Let's meet Mrs. Sophia Casey. Hi, Ms. Casey.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Well, thanks for joining us today. So like I mentioned, we're just going to talk a little about you and your background, and then we'll talk about your book so you can share it all with us, okay?
Excellent.
Okay. So starting with your background, like I mentioned, you're very extensive. I read your bio. You have done a lot of stuff. We want to focus on your coaching for a little bit.
Yes.
So you're listed as a professional certified coach. What does that mean exactly?
Well, a lot of coaches actually go out and go to different coaching academies and get certified by that actual school or academy. But when you see people with 3 letters behind their name, ACC, PCC in my case, or MCC, that means they've actually have a credential. They've actually gone through the International Coach Federation. I went through a year-long program, very intense program around transformative coaching, and so that's what that means. I actually have a credential besides being just certified.
Okay, so like I said, that extensive
Very
background.
proud of that, as you can tell.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, do you use that in your business, your Sophia Casey Enterprises?
Absolutely. I actually started my career in education. I was a school teacher for a couple of decades. I'm totally aging myself. And then went and started working for the public sector, for the federal government, state and local government. And I found that I loved education. I couldn't let it go. Okay. And so I started working with adults and doing more training. I was a director of training for a few agencies. And from that just morphed into coaching. At the time, I didn't know it was called coaching. Okay. And then when I was introduced to the actual word, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I love. This is what I've been doing. And so that's a big part of my business, absolutely.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more. So you have coaching under your Sophia Casey Enterprises.
Yes.
What other things do you do there?
So besides individual coaching, I also do corporate coaching, but I also, one of my biggest umbrellas is corporate training. So I work with a lot of CEOs, a lot of corporations, a lot of companies, some state and local companies as well, and federal government agencies around team building and leadership development and getting unstuck.
Okay.
Yes.
And you do speaking engagements also?
Yes, and that's my newest love.
Okay.
About the past, I would say 3 to 4 years, I've really, dove into speaking internationally a lot. I had the wonderful opportunity to speak to 1,500 women from 110 countries in India, and most recently just came back from Dubai doing a journaling workshop there as well. So it's my most present love.
Okay,
for sure.
Sounds good, and keeps you busy, of course.
Oh yes, and I love to travel. So it's sometimes it doesn't feel like work. I have to remind myself, like, yeah, this is your business. You are working.
That's good. That's the way it should be.
It's a passion. It really is.
Right. Okay. So now we have you speaking and coaching, and so you had a chance to write an ebook. I noticed your first ebook, KIM, Keep It Moving.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I actually, it actually came to me. It was almost like a download. I wanted to support my individual clients in getting unstuck, moving beyond circumstances, and not letting those circumstances or obstacles stop them from actually pursuing their goals. Okay. And so I was constantly finding myself telling them or sharing with them, a number of tips over and over and over. And I said, well, wait a minute, why don't I just package this up so that I can actually share it with more people? And that's what I did. That's how Keep It Moving came about.
Okay, sounds good. And that goes into your next book. So you have your coaching, you have your ebook, and now we have your Ease and Flow journal.
Yes.
So as you said, were giving tips to other people. That's why you decided to write that book. Now, what made you decide to do Ease and Flow and put it into a journal form?
Now, Ease and Flow, my 31-day journal, actually came out of, it was birthed out of trauma, unfortunately. About 2 years ago, my husband, while at work, suffered what we now know to be a seizure, a stroke, and went into a coma, and was actually pronounced as expiring. I said, when the doctor told me that, I said, no, no, we have a son to raise. He can't expire. But he was actually pronounced as literally expiring. And they later found out that he had a brain tumor as well. So needless to say, I needed some ease and flow in my life. I spent weeks and months, hour upon hour in hospitals. And so what helped keep me sane is just to write. Sometimes I would, just ask the nursing staff, just give me a tablet of paper. I would write anywhere. I'd write on a napkin if I had to. Anything that was in my head or came to mind, anything that was struggling around that I couldn't always articulate. I didn't always have the words to say what was going on for me and what I was going through and what my family was experiencing. And so I would just write. And that eventually became pages and pages and pages of journal entries. And then one day it just came to me, you need to actually create this for other people who can't, maybe can't talk to people about what they're going through or can't articulate what they're going through to other people, but they can write it down. And so I'm so grateful to be able to say that I actually created it in 5 hours. I mean, that's how much it was all right here. So it was easy to get it out, ready to come out. Created it in 5 hours, and it was on Amazon 2 weeks later. Yeah, thanks to a great graphics artist.
So you self-published and put it on Amazon?
Yes, I didn't know anything about publishing. I really didn't have a desire to become an author. I mean, I was wearing 3 hats, and I was okay with those 3 hats. But I felt like there were so many people, especially women that I worked with, who could really benefit from being able to just articulate what their heart is saying and what they're feeling and actually be able to put it on paper. So
so yeah, it's beneficial, like you said, that you can get it out and express yourself, because you have to let those things go.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I was really strict about with this journal is that a lot of journals, I'm a journal junkie, journal and planners. I have them everywhere, can you relate? Everywhere. But most of the journals and planners, or most of the journals that I came across, were just a bunch of blank pages. And I'm like, going through that traumatic event, I needed somebody to ask me some questions. And so that's why I actually created it the way I did.
Cool, and so we're actually gonna go through that. So we'll start talking about the book a little bit, because like I said, it's empty spaces so that people can write and journal, but there are different sections. So we do want to talk about those. But first, what came to my mind when I first saw the book and then when I read the inside is the cover and how you refer to a lotus flower. So I thought that was very interesting. So explain the significance of that flower for you and for the book.
Yes, the lotus flower has just always been a symbol for me of muddy periods in your life, like you said earlier. And as you know, the lotus flower only grows in the mud, and it blossoms every single day through the mud. And I just found that so fascinating, and I felt like it kind of summarized what I was going through, a lot of muddy periods, but at the same time, I was blessed to be able to still bloom the next day, to come back the next day, to keep trying the next day and not give up, so that I could be the most supportive to my husband as he was going through his recovery. So you'll see lotus flowers everywhere now.
So it's beautiful. I like that correlation to the book and what you were going through. So I thought that was nice to point out. So, like I said, it's not a book to read through. It's a journal where you have to do some work.
You have to do some work.
So you have 4 pages dedicated to each day, right?
Yes.
So through those days and those pages, we're just going to go through your topics. So you have brain flow. It's like a to-do list. You can explain more about that.
Absolutely. So it's just so ironic that I would actually name it brain flow with my husband going through all this brain stuff. But it came to me immediately that a lot of times when we wake up in the morning, maybe it's just me, but sometimes when I wake up in the morning, it's like I have all these thoughts in my head. I have all this stuff. I have to-do lists. I have all this junk in my head. And it's like, what do I do with it? And if we don't do something with it, research shows that we will actually carry that and in our day, and throughout our day. We may carry it into work, we may carry it into conversations with other people. And so the brain flow section is just a small section for you to take whatever is in your head and put it down on paper. It doesn't even have to make sense.
Right, okay.
It could be green tree, whatever it
Get it out
is,
the head.
just get it out. And that's what I share with my clients, just to get it out. Just get it out. You don't have to organize it or
Right.
anything. That's another step, but just to get it out on paper.
Okay, so that first step is to clear it. We got the
Yes.
brain flow. Then we have the fabulous 5. So then you take the 5 most important things.
Yes. Well, what I found with my work with a lot of executive women is that they would have lists that are like 55 items long.
Yeah.
I'm talking about myself. I'm outing myself too. And what happens is that when we do that, at the end of the day, when we haven't been able to check off all 55 things, how do we feel?
Right.
We feel bad about it, and we beat ourselves up about it. And so I said, if you were only able to focus on 5 things today, we may focus on another 5 tomorrow, but today, what would those 5 things be? And so that section gives you an opportunity just to list the 5 most important things to get done that day.
Okay, so it gives you a little focus and a little more
Yes,
clarity.
absolutely.
Okay, and then today's schedule. So you do have to plan your day. Don't
Yes,
just
absolutely. Not just do the brain flow,
Right,
but you
right.
actually have to do some planning. Now, I use an electronic planner, but a lot of people, when I asked them about journaling, they gave me a lot of feedback that they needed some place to put their schedule. So it's just a small section for you to jot down things that you have to do that day.
Okay. Then we have the I am section, empowering
Yes.
words that describe you.
That's one of my favorite sections of the book. I sometimes, even if I don't get to all the sections every day, that's one section I will get to every single day. And the I am section is just a space for you to actually almost like affirm who you are, affirm who you want to be that day. Like, what energy do you want to bring into the day? It's an opportunity for us to remind ourselves of how wonderful and great and powerful we are, because when we go out into the world, sometimes we can forget, and sometimes people can say otherwise. And so it's an opportunity for you to actually name what is your I am statement. It's very powerful. And so I suggest that people, whatever comes to mind, even if you feel like you don't completely embody that,
Right.
put it down anyway. So sometimes I will write down, I am fierce, I am powerful, I am love, I am fun, I'm a fantastic mom, I'm a dynamic wife.
I love it.
All those things to just bring up that energy. And then it's great to be able to go back at the end of the day and read those words again.
Like you say, because maybe you're not feeling it, but you have to encourage yourself sometimes.
Absolutely. Yes. Encourage yourself.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So then we have the ease and flow scale. That's that
Yes.
section.
And see, it's not the weight scale. We don't do
Right.
that. Ixay on that. It's just a measurement. It's a way to measure how are you feeling right there in that moment.
Okay.
And the reason I put that in the journal is to give people the opportunity to check in with themselves. We can go throughout the entire day and never just sit still for a moment to take a deep breath and just ask ourselves, well, how am I feeling? And we can find that we're actually carrying things from yesterday and last week and that relationship from 13 years ago. Not talking about myself. Okay. And so it's just an opportunity to just check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? And the scale goes all the way from, at the lowest point, like I'm really, really low energy, all the way to I feel really, really good. I have high energy right now. And it's just a chance, just like I said, for you just to check in with yourself.
And just be honest.
Yes,
Because
and
that's
to
when
be
you can
honest.
evaluate.
Absolutely, without judgment.
Right. Okay.
Without judgment.
Important things that we need to do.
Yes.
Okay, so now once you have realized how you felt, you have the
Yes.
what can I do to improve my mood?
Yes, and so let's say on this particular day, you circled the low energy, like I'm like
Right.
barely here.
One of those days.
It's one of those days. And so that next section gives you an opportunity to say, okay, let's say that is the case. Now what can I do about it?
Right.
What's one thing that I could change that may have me shift from that end of the scale all the way to the other side, or at least just move at least one rung up?
Right.
I'll take that. And it's just an opportunity for you to just think about that, like what could you actually do? And sometimes it's as simple as, okay, I'm going to reflect back on my fabulous 5 list, and I'm actually going to work that list.
Right.
Or I'm going to go take some things off of that brain flow list of things, and I'm actually going to pull one of those off and actually deal with that.
Right. Or I'm going to smile more today.
Or I'm going to smile more today. Or I'm going to be more present when I'm talking to people today.
Yeah. Good things to do. Okay, so the next one gets a little, well, not too much, but let's see. So as boundaries are my friends. So we have to establish some strict rules and boundaries. So how does that help us?
I think it's important for us, especially us go-getters and us folks who are constantly juggling a lot of different titles. One of the things that happened, when my husband experienced this trauma, I got a new title called caregiver.
Right.
And so what I have found is that when we're juggling a lot of things and we're holding a lot of titles and we're making sure that the kids are okay and the job is okay and my boss is okay and my spouse is okay, a lot of times we end up graying those boundaries and we find it challenging to say no to things. And so this was my opportunity to support people who purchased this journal in just thinking about, like, what are my boundaries?
Right.
Do I actually have boundaries? And am I saying yes when I mean yes? And am I saying no when I really mean no? Or am I really just saying yes and taking on more things and adding to that brain flow section?
And bringing your scale down to a lower level because you're doing too much.
Absolutely. And I titled it Boundaries Are Our Friends because a lot of times we can relate to boundaries as something bad. Like, oh, I'm pushing people away. No, boundaries actually protect you.
Right. I love it. Sounds good. Yeah. And that ties into the next part, the sexy, indulgent self-care. So we've set our boundaries and we're taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. So now you set your boundaries, you've checked in with yourself, and now it's like, how are you actually going to take care of yourself? And this has been, I would say, probably the most confronting section in the journal for most people. Because, I'm constantly asked, like, wait a minute, you want me to decide what I'm going to do for self-care every day?
Right.
And I'm like, yes, every day. Every day. You deserve it every single day. And it doesn't have to be something, grandiose or anything that even costs money. It could be something very simple, like I'm just going to take a walk out in the park, or I'm going to take a walk around the neighborhood. But that's going to be my dedicated time just for myself. So, and indulge in it. That's why I put that word. Yes.
Right. Don't rush through it.
That's right.
Take your time.
That's right.
And so that leads us to my area of focus. So you've taken care of yourself. And look at an area that you want to focus on.
Now it's time to do a little bit of work.
Okay.
It's time to do a little bit of work. And so I have that section because being a life coach, being an executive coach, I'm very focused on goal setting and actually attaining your goals. And so I wanted to make sure that I had a section there that would help you actually focus on, like, what's most important today? What project am I working on? What goal am I going to work on actually fulfilling upon today? And so it's just a small section. You don't have to write a whole lot, but just maybe focus on one goal or one aspect of a goal that you want to focus on that day.
Okay. Gives purpose.
Yes.
And next section is the my why for committing.
Yes, a lot of times when we set goals, we don't know why. You look down the road and it's 5 years later and it's like, wait, why am I working on that goal?
Right.
Why is that important to me? And so this is an opportunity for you to ask yourself that. Like, okay, I said I was going to work on this specific goal today, but why is it even important? And I really believe that that's a part of self-care too. Like actually getting present to, like, why am I even doing this? Why is this important to me? Why am I making this a priority?
Right. So we have to focus on those things. Yeah. And just a couple more sections. You have the actions I will take, I will reward myself, and then reflect on your day.
Yes, and so you figured out your goal, so now it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Like I said, I can't turn coach off. Right. So anything I put out is going to have some type of goal setting or goal attainment type of work to it. So it's like, what am I actually going to work on specifically? Right. And it may be something that's on that Fabulous 5 list. You may want to pull from there. And then I would say the second most triggering part about this journal, or that people have shared with me, is like, wait, you want me to reward myself every day for doing these actions, from doing what I'm supposed to do anyway? Absolutely. Give yourself a reward. And the rewards, just like the self-care, doesn't have to be something grand or something that costs a lot. It can be something very, very simple. Sometimes you'll frequently see wine and movies on my list.
I was about to say ice cream would be mine.
Ice cream would be yours. That would be my son's too. But yeah, so just something simple, a way to reward yourself. Like, I got all those things done, or I got the majority of my list done, so that you can feel proud of yourself. And then the next section, then I want you to just reflect on your day. day? Like, how did your day go? What worked? What didn't work? And forgive yourself for whatever didn't work.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so with that, you have a couple of different sections that you can go through. How do you find that many women complete the sections? They leave some blank. How does that?
Yes.
What kind of feedback have you gotten for that?
What I've heard is that it is a great structure for focusing on yourself so that you can move your life forward. I actually come to tears sometimes when I get, feedback and emails and text messages, from people, and people will post their picture with the journal on social media and share with me how it has really helped change their life. And it's because they're focusing on themselves and they're prioritizing themselves. Doesn't mean they're leaving everybody else to the wind, but they actually move themselves up on the list. And it's very heartwarming to hear these stories. It really is.
It's amazing. We have to be reminded of those things. Like you said, there's so much going on. We tend to lose ourselves, but
easily.
This gives you a chance to focus on you.
Easily. And with so much stimuli, I mean, there's so much pulling at us all the time. This is just a chance. I have heard from, some people that they may not get to every single section every day, but they'll do the best they can, and then maybe they'll come back later. And I actually suggest that you do part of it at the beginning of your day, maybe on your lunch break, do one more section, and then before you head off to bed, that's when you start to do actually your free-flowing journaling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like good steps.
Yes.
And what you also have in here to help are journaling prompts. So you have those to ignite their creativity. What made you decide to do that, and explain that a little bit?
Well, because, being a journaling junkie, I would get all these journals with all these blank pages, and I'm like, what am I supposed to write about? And so I just created just 70 prompts. Like, if you can't think of what to journal about, it's just going to prompt you on a specific topic. And it could be something very simple, like very simple things. I have things that really require more thought, but really simple things like journal about where you grew up. What do you remember? Or, what's your favorite scent? And that can actually, so one of my favorite scents is lavender. If I write lavender, well, that's going to bring up other memories of where I smelled lavender, the spa. So it's just a prompt. My self-care. So just a prompt to get you to start writing, and it's yours, right? So there's no right or wrong way. There's no right or wrong length of journaling. It's just to get you started. Okay.
So good tips from a coach. You're very good coaching, and you don't even have to be there. So this is your way of sharing your tips with everybody.
Absolutely. Coach in a book.
So I like to share how I meet people, how I meet different authors. So we met through a mutual friend.
Yes.
And then I saw your post on Facebook, and I reached out to you. So thank you for reaching back.
Oh, my pleasure.
So what I've noticed, though, through your Facebook posts and everything, you've done a lot of book promotions. You're very social.
Yes.
And you've been throughout the country touring, like you mentioned.
It's my catnip.
So how has that been for you, traveling around with the book?
Christine, it has been phenomenal. It's actually, some days, it's unbelievable. Right. It's unbelievable. When I approached Barnes & Noble, Barnes & Noble was very clear that they typically do not sponsor or have self-published authors, do book signings, but they were willing to take a chance on me, and I'm so grateful for that. And then that opened up so many more doors, and so many other bookstores were like, well, I guess if Barnes & Noble said yes, we'll say yes too. And it's been a great opportunity to go and visit with family and friends in all different parts of the world, for me to meet people all over the world. Like I said, I just came back from Dubai. That was an incredible experience. And what was so great about it was to see that all of these women were from different parts of the world, but they all came together around that one common conversation around journaling and self-care. Right. It's pretty cool. It's been wonderful.
Oh, that's good.
It's truly been wonderful.
Good, very good experience.
Yes.
So speaking of books and things, so I read you have upcoming endeavor of writing another book.
Yes.
Yes. Have you started working on that? Did you have something you'd like to share?
I actually started working on it probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And then when all of this life happened, put it down. And so now I've dusted it back off and finally completed it. And it's called Fierce Vulnerability. It'll be my first novel. And it's about a lot of what we've been talking about today, but mostly about what are the benefits of women actually embracing their vulnerability. So many of us are so strong and so powerful, type A's. But we also can benefit from sharing more vulnerably and embracing and being more vulnerable with ourselves. So
Well, I
think
look
it'll
forward
be
to
good.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have to let me know when it comes out and when it's available.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's anything else you want to share about your company, about your book? We really appreciate you sharing all your coaching tips and sharing your journal with us.
I appreciate that. The only other thing I would put in is that, one of the things I love doing under my umbrella of coaching is mentor coaching. So I mentor a lot of coaches. I love putting coaches out in the world and supporting people in starting their own coaching businesses. And so I have a coaching academy with a wonderful, wonderful colleague, Dr. Pam Lard, and we're doing a lot of coaching intensive certification programs around the country. So if anybody's interested in coaching and going into that world, I am here to help them do that.
Okay, and so with that, if you'd like to share your contact information, I know you have information on your website and ways that
sure.
we can get your book, if you could share that with us.
You can find me everywhere. You can find me everywhere. My website is sophiacasey.net. I'm so proud of my new website, so proud, sophiacasey.net. And on social media, I'm everywhere, just as Sophia Casey. I think if you put that in, you'll find me with no problem. Yes.
Well, again, Ms. Casey, thank you so much. Continue your endeavors with
you.
coaching and traveling
Thank
and
you.
mentoring. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's a blessing to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.